Welcome to the Anonymous Andrew podcast. Life and the choices we make, the choices other people make. This podcast explores all things as they relate to dating and romantic relationships. Why we ignore or choose to ignore or miss the red flags. Red flags like gaslighting, cheating, lying, narcissistic behavior, deception, and so much more. Join me each week as we continue my journey into the modern dating world with my weekend rants, anonymous guest dating stories, and experts who share their wisdom so we can better navigate the dating terrain. If you are new to the show or have been with me from the beginning, hold on tight for the Anonymous Andrew experience. Greetings and welcome to the Anonymous Andrew podcast, Life and the Choices We Make. So, this is a pilot type episode that I'm doing with a co-host. Yes, I said co-host. Will Morales joins me on this episode as we are toying with the idea of getting together once a month and discussing the modern dating culture and what the fuck is going on. And to be an example of that, this episode is the audio version of the YouTube recording we did last night about the date I had last weekend and the rant you might have heard on episode 48. Because it is pretty screwed up out there, folks. If you did not hear about my date, continue to listen to this and you'll listen. I'm still scratching my head. I have no idea what this woman was thinking. So anyway, this is the audio version. You can watch the YouTube version. The link is in the show notes. I want to thank Will for joining me. And hopefully this will be a once a month thing where he and I get together and discuss topics like this. Oh my God. I just don't know what's going on out there, folks. All right. Enjoy this episode, and we'll talk to you on the other side. Ciao. Hello, everybody, and welcome to a new type of podcast that I don't even know how to open up. So I'm Anonymous Andrew. And with me is Will Morales from People on Dating. And
hey, Andrew.
Yeah, hi, Will. So Will and I have, first Will invited me on his show a couple of months ago and because he heard about my story. And then I invited him on my show and we kind of clicked, you know. Will and I we're about the same age. We seem to be, our podcasts are somewhat on the same topic, would you say?
Oh, like 100%.
Relationships and dating and in today's society.
All the ups and downs of that.
There you go. Okay. And I'm even going to give Will some kudos here. You know, Will had already done some homework. He has a list of conversation. Well, first of all, his podcast is People on Dating, just a conversation, no judgment. I like that. But he sent me 2 or 3 pages of topics. And I got to tell you, Will, these topics are phenomenal.
The funny thing, Andrew, is I would say when I thought about doing this podcast, and then I started coming up with topics, I came up with 30 just like that, stuff that I've been through. Then I started thinking about some of my friends, what they've been through. And then I just kept on going. Then I would ask people, hey, what do you think about a topic? And then they would say, yeah, how about talking about this? And how about talking about that? And I'm like, oh, okay. So I would just add to it. As you see, there's 3 pages.
And a lot of them jumped right out at me. Like you said, like I had either experienced it or had gone through it. One of them really triggered me, not in a bad way, but the one at the bottom where you said, what if your partner wants to be an OnlyFans? And my ex-girlfriend was doing that. So maybe one day we'll pick that topic and talk about it.
Yeah, that's such a hot topic these days.
Yeah, and I have a very strong opinion on that. So maybe So this is the concept for the audience, and we're going to be putting this on YouTube. Maybe Will's podcast is strictly on YouTube, correct, Will?
Yeah, only on YouTube. I don't do any audio, just straight video. Yeah.
Mine's on Apple, Spotify, yada yada. But I do have a YouTube channel as well. So what Will and I we're thinking of doing, like maybe once a month, we're gonna grab a couple topics and maybe just talk about it. And because I'm listening to other podcasts and I'm hearing two people talk, and I enjoy listening to two people having a conversation. I do this thing called the weekend rant where I talk to my audience and I just vent. But I like to I want to expand and try something new. So and I think you and I should explore this. So, but let's get to why we're actually here today. I asked Will to join me tonight so we could lay this scenario out where we co-host. We're co-hosting. But I went on a date last Saturday, and for those who might have heard my episode on Apple, I did talk about it, but I wanted Will to come on, and Will knows a little bit about the story, but I wanted Will's take on it. And then, of course, if anybody who's watching, any comments are welcome, please, if you have any ideas. So I'm going to breeze through quickly what happened last Sunday. So I met a woman on a dating app. We're going to call her Jane. And Jane and I texted and talked for about 8 to 10 days. And we arranged a date to meet and greet. And it was last Sunday. It was a brunch. And now she lives about 45 minutes to an hour away, which is somewhat of a deal breaker for me. But, for the podcast purposes and for the fact that I just want to get out and meet people, I went. And she was nice enough to meet me halfway. So we went to a diner and we had a great time. We sat and ate, and she ordered, I'll tell you what she ordered. She ordered a turkey BLT with avocado wrap. And I had the old cheeseburger. I mean, when you go to a diner, by the way, these diners have 16 freaking pages long of like, it took us 20 minutes to figure out what we want. So I just go with the hamburger, It's just too complicated.
It's a simple one, yeah.
So we're eating and getting to know each other. She's asking me questions. I'm asking her questions. She tells me a little bit about her background. She's got 5 kids. She's divorced. I won't give you any more. I don't want to give her details, but she works. She's got a job. And it flowed. Well, it felt very comfortable to me. There wasn't any anxiety or awkwardness. At one point, her feet. Now, by the way, she was tall. She was 5'8", which I have no problem with. I like petite women, but they can be tall. And therefore her legs were long. So every once in a while she'd kick me onto the table. and so she commented on that, and she goes, "Oh, am I kicking you?" And she like looks under, and then we laugh about it. And I say, "No, you're playing footsie with me." We played with each other a little bit. And even at one point she put her hands on the table. So if you're on YouTube, you can see this. She put her hands out for me to take her hands. And we held hands while we were waiting for the food to come, which I thought was a little odd because it's a meet and greet and this is our first time, but maybe she felt a connection that we're going to get into this.
Yeah.
Food comes, we eat. Still, everything's going great. There's only and I'll say 2 things that I forgot to mention to you earlier. I don't know if she looked at my profile very well because, as you know, and people can see, I have long hair. I also have 2 sleeves of tattoos. And she apparently didn't see that in the profile because when she saw the tattoos at the diner, I was wearing long sleeves, but she saw them because they come up to my wrist. She saw this part. Yeah. And she said to me, "What's that?" And I guess if you look at it, it could look like maybe blood or because it's red, right?
Yeah.
Imagine a sleeve like I'm wearing a sweatshirt, and I pulled it down. I said, "It's my tattoo sleeve," and I explained to her that this is my demon side. This is because I'm in sobriety. This is my demonic side. This is my dark side, and this is my spiritual side. That's a lighthouse.
Yeah.
I got a rose. You can't see it, but somewhere on there's a rose.
Yeah.
Okay. She says to me, "Oh, I'm not really into tattoos, and I don't have any." And I said, "You don't need to have any." But she just made that comment. We also, when I forgot to mention, one of the nights we were talking, she had told me she was getting her hair done. I texted her during the day, like Wednesday. I said, "Good morning. How's your day going?" She says, "Oh, I'm getting my hair done." And I said, "Yeah, I got to do that too." Now, what that meant was that once a month I go in and I get this trimmed, because if you don't trim it, I don't know if you've ever had long hair, but you get dead ends and it looks horrible and whatever. So she says, "I don't know what you mean. Why would you get your hair done?" And I said, "Well," and I called her. I didn't call her out on it, but I said, "If you looked in the pictures of my profile, you'll see that I have long hair, like ponytail long." And she comes back with, "Oh, that's not my type of guy." So 2 strikes right there, right?
Strikes.
So,
yeah.
Right. But she comes back and says to me, "But I look past that. If we click," and she said something really sweet. Like, "If you're the right guy, I'll like your long hair too." Something like that,
Right.
And at the diner, she said something the same thing about the tattoos. So anyway, I forgot to mention that to you earlier, and I wanted. So we get the check, and Will knows this, and my audience should know this, and I'm going to pay that check. First date, I pick up the check, and I take my credit card out, I give it to the server, and I say to her, "I have to use the bathroom," and she says, "So do I." So I say, "You go first." And she says, "No, you go first." And I say, "Okay, I'm not going to." So I said, "Okay, I'll go first." I get up and I go use the men's room. I come back. She gets up and goes, and she comes back, except she doesn't sit back in her seat. She we're at a booth. So was sitting across from me. Now, coming back from the bathroom, she slides into my side of the booth and kind of has to wiggle her way in because there's really not a spot for her. So she kind of teasingly pushes me like, move over, Right. And then she leans in and starts kissing me. First with a kiss, and then came back to see what my reaction was. And of course, I'm like, I would have loved to have seen my face, but it probably was happy. Because she came, it was shock. I was shocked, but I'm like, I'm never going to turn down a kiss. She came in for a second one. And the second one that's when the mouth opened up a little bit and it was a little bit more of a make out, So here I am making out in a diner on my meet and greet with this woman. All right.
It's funny that you say that, Andrew, and because I definitely want to touch on that. And I remember I was talking to a buddy of mine years ago, and every time I used to hang out with him, he would meet a girl, and then they would be kissing on the dance floor or something like that. Those are the days when I used to go to lounges and clubs. This is in my late 20s, early 30s. And I remember telling him, "Dude, why are you making out with a girl on the first date or the first time you meet her?" Dude, to me, that's a red flag. I didn't use those words. I used harsher words. And Andrew, you wouldn't believe it. It happened to me. I met some girl. And then I'm kissing her. He saw me, and then he just broke my balls. Just kept on. And then I said to myself, "No, it never happened again." And it happened 2 more times. And I'm like, "Oh my God, I can't talk anymore." So yeah, don't feel bad because it does happen.
Let me ask you. You're at a club, right? So you're drinking.
This was the first time. Yes, it was in a lounge, and I was drinking. She was drinking.
Okay, so
but it was in a car. It was in a car. Like I walked into a car, and then and she was on the driver's side. I was with 2 of my friends, so I remember they were walking ahead of me, and I went to. I don't even know what happened, how it started. All I know is I was kissing her, and then my friend, his name is Marvin, just broke my balls. Then it happened again. when I was in, I think I was in my early mid 40s. I met this girl on the first date. She was in her late 20s. And I want to definitely talk about age gap dating one day because I have a little issue about that. So she was 27. I was 45 at the time. And guess what? We were making out in the club. Then the third time it happened, I was playing co-ed softball. So there was a party going on. And I met, my teammates, and there was a few women there. And one woman I'm talking to particularly, we started kissing in front of all my friends. And then most of my friends found out. And I'm like, oh, God. So anyway, like I said, Andrew, don't feel bad.
No, and here's my position on kissing on the first date. Especially if the woman initiates it, I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
That you're kissing me on the first date is saying, reading into body language and reading into what it tells me I like you and I'm enjoying my time with you.
Yeah.
Now, this is just my perception. This is why I wanted you to come on and let's talk about this. And in this list of topics, one of your topics is, do women test men? So, well, first of all, let's finish the story because the audience doesn't know what happens next. So yeah. we walked to the car, and on the way to the car, it's a big parking lot, and I don't know, 100 yards, give or take. She grabs my hand in the parking lot. Like, so we're walking to the car holding hands, like boyfriend and girlfriend, like a couple. So, so that's number two kind of sign that she's digging me. She's into me. Yeah. We get to the car. I open the door for her, and I get another kiss. She leans into me and gives me a nice kiss, and then hugs me, and then she gets in the car, and I say nicely to her, "Please text me when you get home, so I know that you got home safe." And she said, "I'll be happy to do that," or something. And then we parted. And then she texted me when she got home, and I said, "I'm home too. Can I call you tonight?" And she said, "Please, I would like that." That's where this story gets weird, because I tried to call her that night and it went to voicemail. I texted her the next morning and I got a very negative sounding. I don't even know how to explain it, but I told you before. She texted back. I said, "Good morning. How are you?" And she said, "Not well. I got a headache and I'm nauseous and I don't feel well." And I kind of, took me back. I'm like, you don't expect that, right? When you ask somebody how they are, what do they say? "Fine, I'm okay. How are you?" Yeah. She told me that she wasn't, and so I just said to her, "Is it something maybe you ate? Whatever." But I'm at work. I don't know where she is. It was 9:30, 10 o'clock Monday morning. So I just said, "Look, try to feel better, and I'll call you tonight." And she didn't respond to that. So that night I tried to call her again, and I couldn't connect with her. This time she texted me and said, "I'm not available to speak tonight. I have plans and I'm going to be home late." And that was it. No, like, let's talk tomorrow, or I'll call you during lunch, whatever. No. So that was Monday. All right. It was the last time that I had contact with her. Today is Saturday night. That's 5 full days have passed. Now, if you know my last story about my last relationship, I chased this woman for 18 months. I was constantly, "Where are you? Why aren't you responding to my texts?" And, very insecure. And I learned over the years of being single and this podcast that do not do that. Do not look desperate. So I refused to text this woman on Tuesday. I said, I tried Sunday night, I tried Monday night, and I got blown away both times. But here's where the weird is. It's like the date went like at a 10 out of 10. It went 10 out of 10. It was a great date with kissing and holding hands. What happened between leaving the diner at 3 o'clock and Sunday night and Monday?
That's the weird thing. I'm thinking, was she trying to test you? Was she, like you said, you guys are kissing. but was she, going for the free meal? Because unfortunately, I've been, I think, through that experience twice, and it's not a good feeling. You paying for the meal, they offer, and the women, the 2 times that happened to me, they offered, but I always said, no, I got it. Then I never hear from them again, but again, in your situation, you guys are in a booth kissing. So I don't know what happened there then.
If she was there for the free meal,
why go through all that? Right?
Why kiss me afterwards if you're really not interested in pursuing it? Because I had already paid for it. By the way, she did only eat half of the wrap. And while she was in the bathroom, the waiter brought the little styrofoam thing, and I packed it up for her. I took the wrap and the sweet potato fries, and I put it in the thing, and I put it in the bag. So when she came back, it would all be ready for her. You and I talked about this. I'm old school chivalry.
100%. I'm with you on that. Yeah.
Hold the coat for her, open the door for her, pay for her. Dude, it's the little things you do that, especially on a first date, that's supposed to make that first impression. And I honestly, when I got my car and drove home, I felt I was high on endorphins. I felt, wow, that went really well. And I guess I could share this. I even got horny in the car. I was like, because
nothing wrong with that, dude.
Well, I've been single now 18 months, 17 months, something like that, and I haven't kissed. I might have kissed one woman over the past year, but it was a kiss. This woman came on to me strong and gave me the vibes like she wants to. So, and by the way, I think I mentioned this. We had made plans for next weekend, which so I'm supposed to be out with her tonight. I'm supposed to be on a date tonight. And in my mind, I figured we'd go to dinner. I'd go to her place after dinner, and maybe we'd have sex. Now, that was just pure conjecture on my part based on her actions at the diner. Maybe she was horny, but I'm not buying she wanted a free lunch. It's a lot to go. Why kiss me? Why?
No, you had a good point.
You got your dinner, get in the car and go home. And then, now let me ask you, did she ghost me? Because we did have a conversation Monday night. I asked her, can I call you? And she said, no, I have something that I need to do tonight, and I won't be home till late.
Yeah.
So there was like a communication, but I decided not to text her the next day. I refused to because I'm not going to go chasing this woman.
Yeah.
So I don't know if this is a ghosting situation. Did I ghost her? Did she ghost me?
No, I think to me it goes her ghosting you, because if you reached out to her and then she's giving you short answers, I'm busy, I don't feel well, whatever it is, and then and I think you called her too and left a message.
Yep. Yeah.
Okay, and you returned that message?
She never returned that message.
Okay, so then it's on her why she's doing that then. Did someone from the past come by? And I don't know. We could come up with probably like 20 different reasons, but
yeah,
it's ghosting. Because she left you. How you say? What's the word?
High and dry.
High and dry, hanging.
Hanging.
Yeah, she left you hanging out there, and 4 or 5 days later, nothing. So I think you did the right thing by not reaching back out to her, no matter how much you felt for her that weekend that you guys were hanging out. But
yeah,
you gotta have our pride too.
Yeah. And you know my story. The last relationship, I was chasing her even well into, we were together 2.5 years, but about 18 months in, she was making herself scarce to me. Like I would have to text her and call her. Where are you? Why aren't you returning my calls? And my self-dignity, my self-respect went right out the window, because even when I tried to establish some boundaries with her, she walked right over them. One of the reasons I started my podcast was to understand where I went wrong and how I can fix fix this going forward. And so I refused to chase this woman. She was a good-looking woman. She was good company for 2 hours, but she's not worth me. I'm not gonna chase her down, you know?
Yeah. Plus, you did whatever you showed your chivalrous side. You showed that you were a gentleman by paying on the first date. And, you kept in touch by calling her, reaching out to her. And if she doesn't reach out, I mean, at least to me, she should say something. And in most cases, to me, though, for me personally, Andrew, I usually say that if I get ghosted, I'm not reaching out. I learned my lesson from about 4 or 5 years ago. And we talked about that on the podcast where I was with this woman. There was no physical contact, but because we had a couple of side hustles together, I felt I was forced to be in a relationship. I put that in quotes. It was more just a working relationship. The physical part that didn't happen, I kind of tuned that out and anything. And then I stopped calling her. The only time we talked was only business. And that could be 3-4 days later after a conversation. So I learned my lesson that way. But sometimes it's hard. Sometimes we need to get slapped in the face and like, whoa, wait a minute. Let me step back here and see where I went wrong.
If she didn't like the long hair and the tattoos, which she knew about the long hair several days before the date, but she learned about the tattoos on the date. But that was during brunch and still kissed me afterwards. So none of this is logical. None of this is logical. And if she had gone home and Sunday night was thinking about it and said to herself, maybe I enjoy my time with him, but maybe she changed her mind and just said, maybe he's too far away. Maybe this thing about testing men, maybe that kiss was a test. Am I a good kisser? I'd love to hear from the women out there. Would you kiss a guy just to see if he's a good kisser? Maybe
good question. That is a good question.
Right? So maybe she didn't like the way I kissed her back. But let's say that was the case. You have to give me. I was taken back by the suddenness of the kiss. It was a surprise. If we're gonna make out on the first date, let me initiate it or let it be natural, organic. She slid into that booth and planted one right on me. I mean, it was like.
She felt something, obviously, because she went for a second and then another kiss when you guys were in the car or outside the car.
Well,
so I don't know. That's something's wrong there. I don't.
I'm scratching my head like I have no idea. I'm completely clueless. But this is what I like about podcasting is we can come on here and Will and I both have podcasts that address topics like this. You know what, Will? I'm going to read off just a couple of your topics.
Yeah.
Let's see here. How long before you date after a breakup? Great topic. Breaking up through text or email. How long before you move in together? I think you covered that already, but I'm just going over them. Yeah. Checking in with your partner. How much is too much? Now, maybe she thought that I texted her or tried to call her too quickly. Like I saw her Sunday afternoon. Why call her that night? But I asked her, can I call you tonight? And she said, I would like that. So, is the modern man too soft? Having friend with benefits. What do you want to do if your partner wants to be on OnlyFans? You and I are going to have that conversation.
Yeah, definitely.
Is your partner's weight a concern for you? Sleeping with your ex. Sleeping on the first date. Friends trying to hook up. I mean, Will, you have a great list here. Ghosting. Women who approach men. Men, who is your support system?
Yeah, because it's funny. I remember a friend of mine came up with that, and I said, "Yeah, you know what? I know women have support systems, they have their groups and all that, but with guys, some of us tend to keep things inside.
Yep.
So I was thinking to myself, I'm like, I would say I have one or two close buddies that I could talk to about certain things in relationships. For the most part, I'm going to be honest with you, I usually do keep it to myself and just try to work it out, try to, think, some of the things that I might have done wrong or she did wrong or we did wrong. But yeah, I don't know too many men that have that support system compared to women.
I think it's a generational thing. So you and I are, I'm in my young 60s. I think you're late 50s. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm 61.
Oh, you're 61. Okay. So yeah, we're boom, right? A year and a half apart, whatever. You and I were brought up in, I guess, the generation where we're not supposed to talk about our feelings or our emotions. But I'm thinking the younger, the 20s and the 30s, I don't know what you call them, Gen X, Gen Z, Gen Y. I lost track.
I get lost in these names too.
they have social media. They might even be able to talk to their parents. I have no idea. I would have never talked to my parents about a date that went awry, like in my 20s.
I'm with you too. And the women, you see them, right? And I don't even have TikTok, but they're always posting. It ends up on YouTube anyway, because some other podcast talks about it and how some women are complaining they can't find dates, or men are this, men are soft. So I guess they get other support from women that they might not know by, they get the comments, hey, I've been there, stay strong, things like that. Where like for us, I would just keep things to myself. And even to this day, 30, 40 years later, I still, most of the time, keep things to myself. There might be a handful of people I might talk to, but that's rare.
Well, I go to a 12-step program, and before that, I went to another support system for another condition that I have. So I'm used to being vulnerable and putting my hand up in a group setting and sharing, like, this is going on in my life and I'm not comfortable with it. So, but this is not, I started this podcast because I was lost after what happened in the last relationship, the way that woman treated me and how, and what she ended up, when I found out what she was talking about OnlyFans. I mean, she was doing things like that. And I was lost. And I do have a couple of, I have 3 women that are very close to me that are not girlfriends, women that are very close, for female friends, right? And there's one guy that I would consider a very good male friend. We've known each other for 15 years. We talk maybe once or twice a month. But I use this podcast really now to vent, to come on and talk about, especially this last relationship. And that's why I'm bringing this up, because I'm lost. This woman just pulled the rug from underneath me. It's just, if this was a professional show and we had an executive producer, I might have somebody reach out to her and say, hey, would you come on the podcast and explain your behavior? Just to psychologically get inside her head, find out what was she thinking?
Yeah. Did something happen between then and now that you had you felt like you had a ghost Andrew? What happened, Jane? What did something happen in between?
Okay. So Monday morning when I texted her and she said she wasn't feeling well, let's say I don't know. I'm just going to put it out there. Maybe she came down with COVID and I kissed her the day before, but I'm fine. Or maybe she came down with any number of symptoms. Maybe she got the stomach flu. Maybe she had the turkey was bad and the wrap the day before. Why not reach out to me and say, I'm not feeling well. I'm not even going to work, so I need a couple days. Nothing. No. And even if she talked to, like, let's say she had a girlfriend she talked to and said, oh, he's got long hair and tattoos, and what are you doing? That's not your type of guy. Then text me and say, you know what?
I'd rather have that it's not working out or we're not a match.
Thank
blah,
you.
Blah, blah. That's it.
Thank you.
Good. Oh, good.
Good. Then I can close the book and move on to the next one. Not that I had feeling. Again, she doesn't owe me anything. She's not my girlfriend. It was a meet and greet. So I don't expect. It's not. But this is the problem with modern dating. This is why you and I have a podcast. It's like, what is going on today that people can't be decent with each other and just be honest and listen. I thought you were cute on your pictures, but when I met you in person, I got a different impression. Maybe that's even too detailed. I've gone on a couple of dates with women who came back to me the next day and said, I don't feel we're a match. So good luck and goodbye. And I even got a little kissy emoji or something. And that was sweet of them. They didn't have to do that, but they did.
Yeah.
So it's just human decency to. This is going to sound horrible, but if I'm going to buy you lunch, and by the way, I didn't mention I bought her a rose. Have the decency.
Being a gentleman, man. Being a gentleman, yeah.
I don't know, Will. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, Andrew, I think, it's easy for me because I'm on the outside looking in. I could say, oh, let it go. But I think if I was in your shoes, definitely I'll feel the same way. Because like I said, I've been on a couple of dates. It was a few years ago. One girl point blank told me that there was no romance. And me being at that time more of a simp, I still paid for dinner. I should have just said, okay, thank you for being honest, but why are we here? And I should have just walked out. I mean, obviously it's hindsight. The one girl I was telling you about, we met at a singles event, and we had dinner. It seemed like it went okay, but I knew in my gut something was wrong. I just knew it. And when she took the food home and she got in the cab, hey, I'll text you, I'll call you, blah blah. And I said sure, and never heard from her again. And I never reached out. I just never reached out because I had a feeling this wasn't going to go anywhere. And like I said, it was another girl where we met. It seemed like we clicked. We had dinner, but again, she told me at the dinner, and again, this is like 5, 6, 7 years ago, give or take. She said, hey, there's not going to be any romance, blah, blah, blah. And I should have just said, okay, thank you. I much appreciated. But then why am I here?
Right.
To buy you dinner? You want a free dinner? Then I should have just walked out or said, hey, okay, I appreciate that. Then we're splitting this dinner or we just go.
Yeah.
That's what I should have done. Now I would do that now. But back then, like I said, 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago, I just wanted to make sure she was happy, and like I said, I was simp 101.
Well, when she saw my tattoo and I showed it to her, and she did say to me, "Oh, that's not my style. I don't have any." And she really was honest and said, "You're not." I don't remember the words she used, but she made it sound like you're not the type of person. But again, that was during the brunch. Then why kiss me? So if you have already made your mind up that between the long hair and the tattoos, that this may not be you don't want to pursue this. Yeah. Why kiss me?
Yeah, 100%.
But by the way, I just want to clarify one thing because this isn't bothering me. I'm if anything, this is great content for the podcast because
it's true.
I just want to make it clear that I'm not bothered by this. I put an episode out this weekend talking about it, and Will and I have been bouncing back ideas for the past couple of weeks about doing a co-hosting podcast. So this is our first one, and I figured, hey, let me take this topic. Perfect topic. Let's take this experience that I had last Sunday and let's talk about it and see. Yeah. But in no way, believe me, I'm not losing any sleep over this. Not at all. But but it's great to bring up in the podcast platform because this is what's going on in today's society and why.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be this way.
Yeah, it's different. It's different from 20, 30 years ago. That's for sure. It's, social media has expanded the women's options. And I don't know. I don't know if there was something from her past that came back, or it's hard to explain, especially if this is a woman that got into the booth with you, sat next to you, kissed you a couple of times, and kissed you again by her car or your car. I'm still kind of baffled on that one.
And I think you may know this. There was a woman that I dated about 2 months ago, and again, we had a significantly really good date. We went to a sushi restaurant. There was a kiss in the parking lot, a hug, and plans for a second date. And I made the mistake of, I'll make this quick because we should wrap this up. I made the mistake of giving her my real cell phone number. Now, maybe we'll talk about this in a future episode, but I now have a second cell phone number because on Instagram, if your contact number is in my number is in your phone, Instagram is going to see that. And it's going to say to you, hey, you might know. So you're going to open up Instagram and say, Anonymous Andrew, you may know him. Because,
I see what you're saying. Okay.
Yeah. And that's what happened. She went home that night. She knew I had a podcast, but I did not tell her what it was.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I remember you told me the story. Yeah.
And she listened to it. And I went home that night after the date, and I talked about the date. And in a positive way, because it went great. But she didn't like that. And the next day when I went to text her, hey, how are you? And she said, I'm not good. I found your podcast. I heard the episode you put out last night, and I don't appreciate that you divulge. I said something in there that, but nobody knows who she is.
Yeah.
I didn't use her name. I didn't tell anybody. Nobody. What's the name of my show? Anonymous Andrew. Like I didn't even reveal my ex-girlfriend details. Nobody knows anything about her. Her name, where she lives, other than she's Hispanic. That's all they know. Anyway, this woman didn't want to date me any further because I mentioned her on the podcast. So going forward now, all women get my second cell phone number, which is not associated with any social media. So
very smart. Yeah. You gave me an idea to probably do the same.
Yeah. I think I'm a little too honest, a little too open on my podcast. And I do talk about my ex-girlfriend a little too much, maybe. And I think one woman actually said to me over the last summer, she said she did listen. And she says, I still think you got a torch for your ex-girlfriend. And at the time, she was right.
Yeah.
I was only like 6 or 8 months after the breakup, and I was missing her. But I was trying to move on. So,
yeah, of course.
So going forward, they will not, unless they stumble upon it, or, somebody told me that women are like FBI agents. They're very good at investigating. If they want to find something out, they'll find it out.
Oh, I believe so. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. So, Will, thank you so much for being with me tonight.
It's my pleasure, man. Thank you.
I'd like to do this once a month with you.
100%. Yeah, I got a couple of topics I want to talk about, so we'll definitely go
over
it.
All right. So the next time you pick a topic, and to the audience, I would love any comments from you, any theories. Please be nice. I mean, of course, if you're going to bash me because whatever, but I would love to hear from the ladies. If you got any ideas why this woman did abandon? I don't know. Abandon is the wrong word. Whatever she did.
Ghosted.
Yeah. And Will and I will work out the details where we're going to post this. I'll put it on my YouTube, and then if you want, you can put it on yours as well. So
I definitely want to do that too. Yeah.
All right, Will. All right, so everybody, Will Morales from People on Dating, and you're available where? Tell people where they can find you.
Definitely YouTube. That's it. I don't do any audio. It's YouTube. You can find me. It's Will Morales, People on Dating. And
Instagram.
I'm on Instagram, People on Dating. I'm on Facebook. In fact, I joined the Facebook group. So I think it's called Radio and Podcast Group or something like that.
Yeah.
You joined too, so I saw that.
I did.
So I'm there, but mostly on YouTube and Instagram. And you can find me at peopleondating.com. Check out our past shows and check out our blog.
Excellent.
I have terrific guests that let me pick an article out, and I could post it on my website, but I make sure that, they get the credit for, letting me use their article. So I think I appreciate all my guests that let me do that.
And Will has sent me, I've read his blog, some of his articles, and he sent me, as a matter of fact, I appreciate the one you sent me recently about something about women. Why do women cheat, or why do...
Was it the girls trip?
Yes.
I think it was the girls trip, yeah.
Partners who have cheated likely will cheat again. It was this article from Psychology Today.
Yeah. It was, I did an episode, I think my first reaction video of a woman that went on a girls trip.
That's right.
She admitted that she cheated. Her husband wants to dump her.
Right.
And you got to read that story. Definitely find it on my show. It's husband wants to leave wife after she cheated.
I wonder whatever came of that. If the
me
husband,
too. I would love to do a follow up and find out what happened.
All right. Will.
Thank you, Andrew.
Have a great the rest of your Saturday night, and everybody will see you next month.
Sounds good.
I'd like to thank Will for joining me as a co-host. I'm kind of liking that idea. Once a month, we will get together and discuss topics of the modern dating culture. I can't believe we got to do this. I'm still scratching my head from what happened last week. No freaking clue as to what this woman is thinking. So, listen, go watch the YouTube if you want, or I'd love some comments from you guys. Anybody have a clue as to what either I did wrong, or what she was after, or what she's... speechless. I have been... Again, guys, married and divorced and long-term relationships and kids, and I've been around a while. And this last weekend, she really... okay. If somehow you are enjoying this podcast, I would appreciate you to leave a review. If you're on Apple Podcasts, leave 5 stars down below, and if you're on Spotify, you can leave reviews for each episode. And if you know of somebody that might benefit from listening to this podcast, like they're going through the same shit that I'm going through, you might want to share it with them. And of course, if you're going to commit to somebody, if you're dating, I urge you just to take a little extra time and look for those flags, because they are there. You're just not paying attention because you're in love and infatuated. And trust me, I've been there. Folks, thanks for listening, and we'll talk to you next week. Ciao.